But this is another example of the writers just thinking they're better than us.
How long does it take you to set up everything?
Uh, Hour and a half to 2 hours, I think, is what
Yeah,
it was.
okay.
No, because it's 9. 2 hours would be 7, and I got here around 7, so 2 hours,
We
yeah.
played with the dog for like 10 minutes, so I'll give you an hour and a half.
Look, this is the first time we're doing dual mics in person, and, yeah.
We had it right the first time, but to make it easier on you, we spent that extra hour and a half just to make sure that
That was not an extra hour and a half after the
it,
fact. It
it,
wasn't.
it was long, but it wasn't.
It was longer than it should have been, admittedly. I tried methods that were a waste of time because your laptop's old, so that's your fault.
I would completely agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Nothing really major, I guess, happened this week. We did get the official like involvement casting of Sebastian Stan and ScarJo in the Batman Part Two.
Yeah, the Scarjo one's the only new one.
It was rumored.
Was it? I only
It was
heard
rumored that
the
she was.
Sebastian Stan one.
It was rumored that she was supposed to be in it. We just didn't know what role she's playing, and now I believe we know that she's playing Dent's wife because Stan is playing Harvey
Mhm.
Dent. Is like what we know for sure.
That's interesting because Den's wife isn't a big character. Like Scarjo for I don't want not a bit character or anything, but like just a not super present character.
Well, we think not super present.
That's true. They could be. I mean,
Again,
clearly
the whole character of Rachel in the Dark Knight trilogy doesn't exist. Granted, that's Nolan, different from Matt Reeves, but you get what I mean. Like you can make up characters and still have them be there.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not.
I usually
I think the Sebastian Stan one being Two-Face, that's like talk about perfect castings.
Oh yeah.
Like I legitimately don't think you could do it better.
Uh, I you could probably name other actors, and I go that would be really good. But I think like as far as like who they picked, I like the choice. But like you could also like if Jake Gyllenhaal got cast as Two Face, I also would go pretty insane for that. If
That's
Stan
fair.
was never rumored, I would go insane for somebody like Gyllenhaal too.
That's fair, honestly. That I think that's fair.
Um,
Um
it's the prospect of him playing that character I think is so good. I don't think coming out of like who's gonna be the next Two Face was like on anybody's mind, but if it was, I
well,
don't think Stan was up there as
do you
one.
think that Two-Face is going to be the main villain?
I don't think Two Face is gonna be. I think it's Harvey Dent. I don't think Two Face is gonna play a factor in this role at all, or in this film at
So you
all.
think Two-Face is a movie 3?
Movie three, maybe down the line we get a Two Face show. Maybe that
I
whatever
doubt
happens
it.
in this
I
film
don't see
sets
Sebastian Stan doing that.
whatever sets up this film could set up Two Face later on. I couldn't honestly begin to tell you. Where it's too early in the process, and the only thing we really know is isn't it going for the Court of Owls story? Isn't that what they're doing?
That's what I've heard. Yeah, is that it's going for Court of Owls.
So that's what I would guess, but it's still a guess at the end of the
This
day.
movie is early next year,
Late next year.
late next.
I think it's like
Ooh.
October. I think it's like October of next year.
I mean, take the time you need, but that is kind of crazy.
That it took us this long to finally get the film.
What has it been? 4 years?
Well, what was the original release date? Wasn't it
I don't know.
25?
No, definitely not 25. That was not last year. It was at least 24, maybe 23.
It could be. No, not 23. Because
Are you sure?
the Batman came out in 22.
Well, no, that's what I mean. The Batman came out.
Oh.
That's what release date were you talking about? When it was originally.
Like when it was originally
Oh no,
announced.
I was talking about when the first one came out. I'm talking about that would be
No,
5 years.
The Batman was 22, and funny enough, I actually remember the trailer dropping for the Batman in 2020. I remember when it dropped, and they said it's coming out in 2021, and then it got delayed to 2022 for whatever reason. I do remember there was like a delay with that film, of some sort that like pushed it off to 2022. So I find it funny that of course the second one's getting hella delayed, and if we're not so lucky, which we usually aren't so lucky, it'll get delayed again into like 2028 or something.
Yeah. I don't think it'll get delayed again. I think the problem is like Brave and the Bold is also supposed to come out next year.
Correct.
Are you seriously gonna have the Batman and Brave and the Bold come out in the same year?
You can. There's no rule against that.
Yeah, but I think that's just a bad idea.
What
two Batman movies in a different universe coming out in the same year.
you
Like, I'm talking general audiences will be more confused than they already are. Because I guarantee you, the average general audience thinks that Robert Pattinson is the Batman in the Superman universe.
well, nobody knows for sure. People, he very well could be.
He's not.
I don't want him to
He's
be.
not.
I don't want him to be. But there's no rule that said yes,
They've
he
already
is.
confirmed it's not. Like,
Who confirmed
multiple
it?
times. James
Sort
Gunn.
Gunn confirmed it.
Yeah, I'm almost positive James Gunn
Never
confirmed
mind
it.
then. Yeah. Okay. Sure. I don't know if it's
It was either Gunn or the writer of the Batman, which I would say both are as trustworthy as each other, honestly.
Gunn. I would say Gunn is more trustworthy, but yes, I agree with you somewhat there. I think that I don't think it's gonna cause that much confusion. I really don't. Uh, I mean, I'm trying to think of like other projects that
My
had the same
it's
issue.
never been done. It's never happened.
But of all characters, Batman would make the most sense.
Like I don't want to make the general audience out to be idiots or anything like that. I just like the general audiences already have a hard enough time keeping up with the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the multiverse and what's connected and what's not, and is this canon, is this not canon?
Well,
And so introducing your Batman the way that they did, I don't think is a bad thing necessarily, but I think specifically releasing two different Batman in the same movie, or sorry, not in the same movie, in the same year, that just doesn't.
I mean, if you want to pull up that thread, let's pull up the thread of technically everything's already connected.
I
And
mean, yes, it's the multiverse
in
and
our day and
whatever,
age
but
with the multiversal fatigue kind of hitting a lot of people, not saying us, not saying like ride or die hardcore fans of Marvel or DC, but multiversal fatigue is a very big thing and has driven so many people away from the MCU and DCEU. I think either way, for first off, this is overthinking it to a whole fucking degree. It's way overthinking it. But I don't think people are going to be too concerned about that as much as it's going to be, oh, it's just another superhero film. And it's
yeah.
going to connect at some point to this either way, whether it's part of the universe or not. So I'm going to watch it. Is Brave and the Bold animated or is it live
No.
action?
No, Brave and the Bold or yeah, Brave and the Bold is live action. That
Okay.
is the live action Batman movie.
I didn't know officially if it was or not.
Because it's also going to be a Bat family movie from what they've confirmed.
Okay.
So it's a lot of people are also upset by that concept. The fact that it's going to be introducing the Bat family.
We've seen the
Now
traditional origin story so many
I
times.
agree with that. I 100% agree with that. I have no problem establishing. We've already seen Batman and Creature Commandos. We know we're not getting a Batman intro story. I do think it's interesting to introduce the entire Bat family in one movie, but I trust James Gunn. I'll say that
Well,
much.
and I here's the thing, and shout out Andrew from the Escape Pod podcast on this one. I like Spider-Man: Homecoming. I do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that.
Screw you, Andrew.
The one thing I do think that film does absolutely correct though is it doesn't tread on the origin story again.
Yeah,
Obviously, you don't find out till 3 movies later that the whole thing's been one big damn origin story. But
basically.
when you look at like it's the whole 3 movies are his origin
Yeah,
story.
you don't get the Uncle Ben. You don't get the getting bit
Right.
by a spider. We don't need that.
We've seen that
We've
so
seen it
many
twice.
times.
We've seen it at least twice, and then we saw it again in Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. So technically, we do have an MC multiverse, so difference. But like, even with like, we got another one in what's it called? Across. Across was an
Right.
origin story. We saw the biting of the spider. We saw all of that.
Well, and to be fair, I think with the Spider-Man origin story, it was also at the time very difficult to kind of pull off, considering Sony had Oscorp and all these things, and
Yeah.
when you brought him into the MCU, you didn't really have those things, and we still don't technically have Oscorp yet, for all we know.
Well, and I think there were some hints at either Oscorp or whatever what's his name? I'm blanking. We're tired. It's late. So we apologize for
Norman, Harry,
yeah.
that family.
Yeah, Oscorp and there's
Osborns.
another one in the there
AIM?
the Mr. Negative one.
No, it's not AIM. What's
No,
it?
AIM's the Deadpool connected
Mr.
one.
Negative isn't a company. It's the
I
food
thought
bank,
he had
right?
a company.
Is it,
Oh no, you're right. It's still a company though.
I play the video game. That's
Yeah.
mostly what I know Mr. Negative from.
Fair
I didn't
enough.
really like.
But that's kind of besides the point anyway. Um Yeah, no, I'm excited for the Batman 2. Um, I don't expect. I mean, could it be better than the first? Probably.
It probably could be. I think with the casting, it very well could be. Granted, I love Paul Dano as Riddler, and I love all that. Though that first that Batman movie, and this is the argument I think everybody kind of has with it. The Dark Knight movies are perfect, and that Dark Knight
Yeah,
movie is so damn perfect. It's a perfect movie. The Batman is a perfect Batman movie. That's how I kind of look at it.
yeah,
Because
I've heard that argument before, and I
the
think it's fair.
the Dark Knight is, yes, it's Batman, but it's Nolan-fied, so it's a lot more based in reality to a certain extent. It it's not dealing so much with the Gotham City as it is portrayed in the comics. Like it has aspects of it, but it's like it doesn't feel as Batman as like Robert Pattinson's, where it's clearly a seedy underbelly. This that I don't know. I haven't,
Yeah,
you get what I'm trying to say.
yeah, no, I get it.
Um,
It'll be interesting.
yeah, but ScarJo being in that,
Yeah,
Stan. I know you don't know who it is, but I kind of touched on Charles Dance, who is an incredible actor. Probably as far as television actors go, one of my favorites just from Thrones alone. He's incredible in that. Jeffrey Wright's returning. Gordon, I know that that wasn't like a secret, but I saw that he was officially like in some sort of post. I saw like his face come up, so I was like, okay,
yeah.
Jeffrey Wright's back. And then there was another person that was in it, but I can't remember who it was. So clearly they weren't important enough for me to remember. Um, Other news, more lighthearted, not so dark Batman news. Sonic 4 wrapped filming.
Yeah, I'm excited for Sonic 4. I admittedly never saw Sonic 3, never saw Sonic 1, only saw Sonic 2.
That's, I mean, here's the thing with the Sonic films. I don't think they're world renowned A tier movies, but
No,
I think
no.
they're fun times.
Sonic 2 is fun.
I ironically enough, I think I have more fun with Sonic 2 and Sonic 3. Sonic 1 iffy because it's a fish out of water story. It's not as Sonic feeling as I kind of wanted it to be.
Hmm.
Um, Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 though, I might have actually liked more than Mario Galaxy and Mario Brothers.
I think that's fair. I enjoyed Sonic 2. The only reason I went is because a friend of mine had an extra ticket one night, called me up and said, "Hey, you want to go?" And I was like, "Sure,
Yeah.
I'll go."
I mean, to be fair, it's also like it's been 6 years since 2020. That first movie I think came out in 2020.
No, that first movie was pre-pandemic.
I
Easily pre-pandemic.
I'd
I mean,
believe it.
I'll double check it for you, but that movie is old. Wow, thank
Wow, you
you.
have volume at full blast there.
I do indeed. My tutorial that I was watching before this that will be left in.
2020 was the first movie. Yep.
Really?
So it's
Okay.
only been 6 years since that first movie released, and we're already on movie 4.
I mean, hey,
That's crazy to
we
me.
need to get him in before Jim Carrey fully actually retires, because the only movies he's doing right now are the Sonic movies, and he keeps saying he's gonna retire, and then he
I would
does
say
another
he's come
Sonic
out of
movie.
retirement twice for
Only
these
for
films.
Sonic.
Only for Sonic, which is crazy to
He
me.
said he'd come back if there was a golden script. Sonic apparently is the best script he's ever read.
Did you hear the like theory about how like people killed Jim Carrey and like
Yeah,
it's
that was
not actually
stupid.
Jim
That
Carrey?
was stupid. It was because of he looked weird at a red carpet premiere
Yeah,
or something
he's
like
looked like
that.
he's aged. Yeah, that's a normal, natural part of life, guys. Of course, it doesn't look like Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey aged.
Yeah, I straight up don't understand what they were going for with that, honestly.
I just thought it was funny when I heard it. I was like, they did not kill Jim Carrey and replace all the people of the world. Yes, they killed Jim Carrey and replaced Jim Carrey because that's who the evil people of the world would replace if they replaced anybody.
I feel like this is a good place to start the
I think
podcast.
that's a great segue. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of the Nerdy Nimrods podcast. The only podcast in the world where your two favorite Nimrods, live and in person, mind you, don't grab my hand, talk all things nerdy. I'm your host this evening, Carson, aka Juggernaut, here with my forever co host.
Brandon, aka Parrotfish.
And today we are continuing to talk about The Boys, continuing from last week with episode 7, and talking about a film that came out last week, but we both really wanted to talk about because apparently it's the second coming of Jesus Christ, the Sheep Detectives.
Yeah.
Spoilers for everything that gets talked about, obviously, especially for The Boys. I very much so for The Boys.
Yeah, that will be our longest conversation because we're gearing up for next week. Or actually, a few days from now at the point of recording
Right.
this for the finale. So we're going to be talking about literally everything,
Well,
preparing for the
not
finale.
saying anything about it because we'll get into it, but there are a lot of things that happen in this
Correct.
episode, and more than most episodes. So,
Yeah.
uh, we're gonna get into that. So, spoilers for that. Cheap Detective spoilers for that. Obviously, even though but it is a murder mystery. So, if you don't want to know,
Yeah.
just make sure you're aware of that. Let's get started. Episode 7 of The Boys. Kind of wish I was going first.
I'm gonna give you some tips real quick. You might want to scooch over a little bit, and when you give your thoughts, speak direct. Sorry, we're in person, but we're a little
Figuring it
different
out.
in person than normal. Obviously,
Figuring
it's
it
very
out.
bland, so we apologize for that. But we actually got our microphones, so hopefully the audio quality is better than our previous in-person episodes. I make no promises. I'll do what I can in post if it sucks.
If it's
Um,
bad, it's bad.
when we've talked about it a million times on the podcast. When I actually move to Florida, things we'll have like an actual recording space, and
Sure.
the lighting will be better. The mics, I won't have this weird shadow on my tummy. Like, I don't know why I just said tummy, like I'm a 2-year-old.
It's
Maybe because I just saw a movie for 2-year-olds. Can
yeah.
I don't know.
Are you allowed to say it?
I'm not gonna talk about my thoughts on Cheap Detective, but just a little off tangent rant, a little bit. I get it. It was a kids movie. Control your goddamn kids.
Yes.
Please, for the love of God, if you're going to take them to the theater, have your kids be respectful. I get it. It's hard. Not a lot of them have been to movie theaters before. And I want you to take your kids to movie theaters. This isn't me telling you, like, don't take your kid to the movie theater. This is me telling you, though, please don't have your kid running through the aisles during the movie and talking at full volume during the movie about how they need to pee 15 times during the movie or asking for extra popcorn at full volume. I do kind of feel bad for the parents a little bit of this group of kids. It was multiple parents with multiple different kids, but it was infuriating. I didn't say anything because I was like, I feel bad, but at the same time, they're not really doing anything to make their kids not run up and down the
Movie
aisles.
theater etiquette. You bring them, you're responsible for them. There are
Correct.
other people in the theater.
Yeah, you're not. I'm sorry. If you. I would like you to come to the theater. I love you to bring your kids to the theater. I grew up going to the theater as a kid. I would love to bring kids to the theater. I was not running up and down the aisles during the movie. Like, that's just, I don't get why parents just let that happen. And you need to teach them young. Like, I don't care if they're 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like, teach them young,
Yeah.
because if you want them to go to the theaters and you want people to not get mad at them, they need to learn young.
Speaking of
That has
chaos.
nothing to do with the boys. I know.
No, but
I'm just.
speaking of that chaos, let's talk about more chaos. The Boys episode 7.
Yeah, yeah,
Brandon,
yeah. No, I know. I'm
Brandon,
gonna.
keep it as brief as you can because we're gonna get into
Okay,
this.
I'm gonna for clipping purposes. Admittedly, I'll give my roughly 3 minutes. Carson will give his roughly 3 minutes, trying to stay with our own congruent thoughts, and then we'll get into the back and forth. I don't know why I'm explaining that. I'm tired. I'm sorry. What is this? The Boys episode 7?
7.
The Boys episode 7 of season 5 is honestly my favorite and the least favorite episode of the entire season at the same time, for one particular reason. It shows what we've all been shouting from the rooftops this entire time, is if you want to do character development, go with the characters we've spent 7 years with and give them speeches like Mother's Milk speech, where we finally, after 7 years, find out where he gets the nickname. The stuff with Frenchie and Sage, I thought that stuff was really good. Obviously, the Huey and Butcher stuff was phenomenal, and I loved that. And it harkens back to their relationship through the entire show. And it was the first time that Huey felt like Huey the entire final season. And I loved it. It was amazing. Frenchie's death hit like a truck, even though admittedly I saw it from a mile away. It was the most set up thing. I do wish that they would have gone with something more generic than, oh, his phone broke, so he didn't pick up the phone. That was such lazy writing, in my opinion, and made it so obvious that Frenchie was dying. That doesn't mean it hurt any less. but it does kind of really upset me. This was not a penultimate episode. This was episode 4 or 5 of a final season. Like, that's what this was. I get it. Frenchie's death was a big monumental moment to end the episode off with. It was still not monumental enough for me to go, oh my god, I'm so hyped for the final episode. This was halfway through the season, cliffhanger, oh my god, what are we gonna do? And then the last 4 episodes are build up, balls to the walls, and everything like that. That's why this is like a favorite and least favorite episode, because everything we got was so freaking good. But it just proves that everything else sucked so fucking bad that I'm left with going into this final episode seeing where are we gonna go. Soldier Boy is on ice again, and it has been officially confirmed that Soldier Boy is not appearing in the final episode. So the final time we see Soldier Boy, the entirety of the boys in this timeline, in this modern timeline, not VOD Rising, is getting choked out by Homelander and shoved into a box, which just proves that all they wanted to do with this character this entire final season was set up VOD Rising and act as a MacGuffin. And that is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my entire life. And I do not know what they thought they were doing with this. I'm worried. That's where my thoughts will end.
Great. I'll piggyback off of the I'm worried part later. Because I'm worried is a phrase I wouldn't exactly use. So episode 7, I agree exactly the way with everything you said, I agree. That being said, it is by far the worst episode of probably the entire show, but not for the reasons that you would think it would be the worst. Like, on paper, episode 4 of season 5 probably should be the worst episode because it's a bunch of filler. And again, you have episodes like that, but this episode does so much, honestly, so much right. It does so much. It gives us character development, this, that. But these are all things that you could have taken place throughout the entirety of the season. And I'm not giving credit or some grace to Kripke or not, because I don't know if this is true or not. But from what I heard from somebody is Kripke went to Amazon, said, I need 13 episodes to finish this. Here's the complete script. This is what I have. I need 13 episodes to finish the show, which honestly, based on how this episode went, seems exactly like the timeline you would need to finish this. But Amazon said, no, do it in 8 because it's expensive. That could be right. It could be wrong. So that's why I'm not giving credit, because I don't know if it's true or not. But 7 does so much right. The mother's milk monologue is incredible. It's probably the best one he's ever had. It's incredible. The Huey Butcher sequences are all of it great. With Joe Kessler is all great. And again, the the dance sequence is fun. the big Homelander church sequence is fun. Homelander going more and more insane, killing the president, this and that. We'll touch on that in a bit. Everything they do with that is great. And I have complaints that I'll get into, not now, but I'll get into them in a bit. Everything they do in this episode is great. It's just unfortunate because these are things that should have been done sporadically throughout these episodes if you were going to have 8 episodes, because now we're sprinting to the edge of the finish line, which for the finale, you said I'm worried. This is what I'll say here. I'm not worried. I know the show is going to end exactly how it should end, but it's going to feel so sloppy and rushed and not as satisfying as it could be if we had done these things earlier to space it out and let us feel it. Now we're going to get the exact ending that we actually kind of want to this show, but everything that kind of builds to it is just going to feel like a big nothing burger because we didn't do anything with it. Starting off with, and I want to talk about this first. Starting off with the biggest thing, which last week I talked about, we need to let it play out. We need to see the show play out and see what they do. Granted, to the show, they gave an explanation for why Gen V characters weren't in this, and that makes sense. But then for Starlight to go, you can't control your powers, please fuck off, I was like, okay, nope, that's bullshit. That is complete bullshit.
I kind of wish I talked about that in my intro thing for my initial thoughts, because I was furious. And I still am, because why did I watch 8 episodes of Marie Moreau, technically 16 episodes, 16 hours of Marie Moreau learning her powers just for Starlight to go, you can't control your powers, and Marie Moreau to go, oh, things of my greatness are like, tales of my greatness are greatly exaggerated. You know what I have to say to that? fuck you, Eric Kripke. Shove it up your ass. That is literally dog water. Because here's the thing. I want to point this out. One of the big reasons why this final season has sucked major ass is because they're setting up a spin-off, Vought Rising. Why the hell am I supposed to care about your next spin-off when your first one didn't fucking matter? You literally gave us 16 episodes of a really enjoyable show with Gen V. I enjoyed Gen V more than a lot of the Boys episodes, honestly. I've talked about that before. So why am I supposed to care about it anymore? And why especially am I supposed to care about your next spinoff when the spinoff you already had didn't fucking matter?
So here's where I'm going to say this, because this is what I was trying to say in my initial thoughts. All the story pieces are correct. The don't freak out, because I want to get my full thought out to kind of make it understand, so you understand what I'm trying to say, because it's going to sound weird when I say it. Starlight saying what she said works for the story. Marie coming in later kind of works for the story. They're not the Gen V characters aren't supposed to be the center focus of it. I get that. But here's the argument that I'm going to make. They are going to come back in the finale. That's no doubt about that. They're totally coming back. They're going to be in the big final fight.
Correct. Like they
So they're building to that moment that you've talked about where they are important. Like, she's going to play a big factor in stopping Homelander because she is that powerful. That being said, you should have had that scene of Marie coming in and just saying, "Hey, fuck off. Like, it's dangerous. You can't control yourself." A few episodes back, and then you just sprucely planted in more scenes of that character to say, like maybe showing that she is learning to control her powers better. I'm not hating on the choice of it. I'm hating on the fact. But do you get what I'm saying?
No, I do, and
it's not the choice. It's the fact that it's not spaced out enough to actually to justify your answer.
Here's the problem with the whole, like, oh, well, he wanted 13 episodes, but he had to make it 8. Then you suck ass at writing because all your other seasons were shorter. And, like, if you can't convert your show into 8 episodes, I know it's difficult. I do. But there are such clear areas, like obvious areas that you could have cut down on and spread this stuff out to fill in instead of. It's not like you need to create new material. You clearly know what needs to be done. You just tried to shoehorn it all into the penultimate episode, but that makes it not feel like a penultimate episode because it's set up that we needed previously, as we've already said.
Correct.
And I think you're right. Marie Moreau is a perfect example of that. If you really want to make the stupid ass argument of Marie is not sit up.
I figured it out. This is much more comfortable.
If you really want to make the argument that Marie Moreau is not able to control her powers, which, mind you, is a stupid fucking argument, because why did we watch 2 seasons of Gen V? Why? Then show us her learning her powers, because now, with your own argument, she's not going to be able to do anything in the final battle.
Well, I think that's the piece that they're trying, that they wanted to tell, was that she is struggling with her powers still. She is more unhinged or uncontrolling of her powers, which at the end of Gen V season 2, you could get that. I think because you focus on that character so much that it's kind of hard to, like, not see as, oh, she does have control of her powers. But I guess if you look at it, yeah, you could see that she's a little more reckless than other people are. The other argument, and I saw somebody say this, you can't control your fucking powers. Starlight says that to Marie. And in, like, episode, whatever, Supersonic,
2 episodes ago,
like, she can't control her own powers.
Father beats her ass. Like,
what
again,
the hell?
I get it. Power scaling is talked to death. It really is.
Correct.
That's because everyone fucking sucks at it, and there's obvious ways to fix it.
Correct.
Don't have O-Father attack Starlight. Boom. Problem solved. She doesn't have to be weaker and lose for dumb reasons.
Again, because the Marie thing is literally, like, maybe 3 minutes.
Yeah, she shows up for 3 minutes, and again, I knew that they were not going to play a major role in defeating Homelander because that's not what we've set up for.
Sure.
I get that. You could have done a better job of explaining that off.
I think it's just
they explained it off so poorly that it pissed me off.
It's not even just that. It's just including the characters that at the end of a post-credit scene of a season 2 of a show that you created.
Correct. Again,
building them to be bigger thing. And again, when I said last week that, like, we need to see where it goes, again, they gave the justified reason. They were off doing a mission. That's why they weren't involved. But it was important to whatever they needed. Whatever. I don't fully know. They were doing recon. What did they say?
No. So they were out on other missions helping save Starlighters was the
Okay, but
justification.
that's a really good justified reason for them to be gone and to like focus on the boys' characters while they're off doing that. My that was my reasoning last week was like we got to wait to hear what they have to say. The issue is now we're going to do this part with the story of oh fuck off, please don't come back.
Yeah, okay, I want to circle back to something you said earlier.
Yeah.
The reason I'm worried for the finale of The Boys isn't because I don't think Butcher's gonna kill Homelander, Butcher's gonna die killing a Homelander, all of these things. I'm not worried about that. I know they're going to give us that because that's obvious. And if they don't, like, they know that they need to do that. So if they don't, then they're morons. It's the fact that it's how it's happening. How are we
Yeah.
going to defeat Homelander? Kimiko's going to take away Homelander's powers. Mind you, I didn't talk about this either. Kimiko getting Soldier Boy's powers made me want to blow my brains out. That is the dumbest shoehorned way to kill Homelander. You spent a season and a half, you spent a whole 2 seasons of Gen V setting up the virus and a whole season and a half of The Boys setting up the virus. I'm not saying the virus needs to be the way to do it, but you spent so long setting up a way to defeat Homelander that didn't work just to magically be able to recreate. Like, I get it, you had Sister Sage, but we also just showed that Sister Sage is apparent. Also, another thing with Sister Sage not knowing emotions, that's the most dumb shoehorned in ever. When you go to Gen V and you look at her little card, it literally says she's an empath and knows emotions. So now telling us that she doesn't know emotions is the dumbest thing ever. But it's all of these pieces that I get it. You're probably gonna give us something where, yeah, Butcher's gonna kill Homelander. It's gonna be great. Butcher's gonna die. But the fact that it's gonna be done because Kimiko takes away Homelander's powers is so fucking stupid to where, how am I supposed to care about, yeah, Homelander died if the way he died was bad?
First cameo of the night from my dog, by the way.
Yeah, this is gonna be hopefully not a major problem, but
He's not a major problem. He's Hamilton. He's a cute, lovable boy.
yeah.
No, I agree with you. I don't. Though I guess the one thing I would say I disagree with is I don't think it's a bullshit reason for her to get Soldier Boy's powers. Like if it's a last resort thing, I get it. That's fine. But it all goes back to what I said. It's the fact that this all feels rushed and it's all feeling like super like I actually like the word you said. Shoehorned is correct because they clearly need 1 or 2 more episodes to kind of space that out and tell that story, and they just
Again,
they don't have the time now.
I would not have a problem with Kimiko going into, like, absorbing all the radiation and getting the powers and stuff like that if that was something they built to and not something that they just appeared in the final or the penultimate episode.
Correct.
Like, that is so unbelievably, like, I get it. I've heard the argument from other people. Oh, well, of course, it's a desperate final attempt. I'm sorry, I get that you have Sister Sage there, but like a desperate final attempt isn't trying to create 10 years of a Russian experiment in an afternoon. Maybe that is what your definition of desperate is, but I guess desperate and possible are 2 different things. Like, I don't know. It's just build up to it more, I guess is what I'm saying. 2 episodes.
Yeah, well, yeah,
maybe.
build up to it. But the fact that Sage is there is it took them so long to get to Soldier Boy his powers because the fact that he was basically the first superhero. They were experimenting on him and they were figuring it out as they went along. Now they have Sage, who really, let's be honest, if she wanted to make the V1 formula for Homelander, she probably could have.
Oh, absolutely.
She just didn't tell him.
Absolutely.
So it makes sense that she would know how to do the powers correctly. It's not the fact that it happens in 1 episode, it's the fact that it feels rushed because it is in 1 episode and it wasn't even close to being set up. Like, again, final Hail Mary, last ditch effort, I get it. That makes perfect sense. But that's everything in this episode except one thing, which, oh my God, I don't want to talk about that, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Everything in this episode makes perfect sense story-wise, and it's a logical continuation. The unfortunate thing is we don't have enough time, and so it's all kind of feeling crammed together.
Yeah.
Nothing's bad. It's just rushed.
I know we're moving off topic here, and I get oh, this is just the boys being the boys. But this is another example of the writers just thinking they're better than us. I know this is weird, but like I do think that the sniffing of the butts from the dog and cat
Yes.
character, that's an example of the writers thinking they know better than us and being like,
Yes.
oh, well, they're gonna enjoy this because that's just what the boys always does. Not in the penultimate episode of the final season of a 7-year show. You don't have a 2-minute focus, 2 minutes including licking her own ass to sniffing each other's butts, that, mind you, has no story importance at all. It doesn't even distract them.
So, counter argument, and it's not really an argument, I agree with you, but I'm just looking at it from this perspective. It is the boys. That is very much the boys to have stuff in their episodes like that. In the penultimate episode, I'd expect to have moments like that in it. It does, but again, going back to me saying things are rushed, it doesn't feel earned or justified because you have so much you have to tell between now and the finale that you feel like you're wasting time with things that the boys are known for.
It's again, it's spending time watching two characters that we literally could care less about. One of them was introduced in Gen V, and one of them was introduced 3 episodes ago, and we're watching these two characters sniff each other's butts and lick their own assholes for 2 minutes at least, when we could be getting more of Homelander, more of Soldier Boy and Homelander.
Yeah.
Soldier Boy, again, not going to show up in the final episode. So the final thing we ever see of Soldier Boy is him getting choked out by Homelander and shoved in a glass tube.
Yeah.
What the fuck was that?
Wow.
And yet we spend 2 minutes watching characters sniff each other's ass, and not only sniff each other's ass, but gives graphic descriptions of what they ate based on the smell of their ass. Again, oh, that's just the boys. That's such, in my opinion, a pretentious ass take, because I think it's a misunderstanding, a fundamental misunderstanding of why people enjoy the boys. People tolerate stuff like that, and yeah, there's probably your odd few people that enjoy watching that, which, mind you, is weird, but we want Huey and Butcher talking at a table. We want Mother's Milk and Starlight having a moment. We want all of these things, and yeah, throw in some weirdness, throw in some growth. Not in your penultimate episode. Not when we could be spending other time on things that we give a shit about and actually wrapping up your core story. When, mind you, your final episode is an hour and 5 minutes. You only have an hour and 5 minutes. And again, you're going to spend at least 2 of that?
And again, the only reason I think you're saying it that way, like in your penultimate episode, don't have that. Again, this is the motherfucking boys. I want that in a boys episode. I don't want it in my penultimate episode in a rushed final season where we need to spend time with these characters because you've taken too much time setting up everything, getting to this moment. This is the thought I kind of want to say, because I've been thinking about this a lot, and I know you're going to disagree with me when I say this. The entirety before this episode of the season, The Boys, I thoroughly enjoyed.
I've already established that I didn't.
I think they do a lot of things that are very much The Boys. It's got one real filler episode, but the rest of it is... There is character building. There is a lot of moments that are really good in it. Again, I really like what they did with this season, especially leading up to Homelander getting V1. I now don't like the fact that we're in this episode getting all of these things so rushed, because now it makes the rest of the season look like until that happened, I would have been fine with the season. Now, and this is the conversation that I've been like having with myself and a couple other friends on the side, was how am I going to look at The Boys? And I've seen a lot of chatter online. Oh, it's the second coming of Game of Thrones, just like Stranger Things was. First off, Stranger Things is not the second coming of Game of Thrones.
Agreed. Neither is The Boys.
Neither is The Boys. They will be both disappointing endings. Yes. Will they be the best ending to any show? No. I would go as far as say, because I started looking into Supernatural, by the way, because we started talking about that and that ending and how people really don't like that ending. Yeah. I wouldn't even go as far as say, I don't think it's going to be bad as that. I think this is going to be a disappointing ending, but even based on how the finale goes, from the rumors that I've heard of what they're going to do in the finale, I don't think it's going to be that bad. It's just not going to be great, like everybody wants it to be.
So here's the thing. I think there's a big difference. And actually, there isn't. I think it's actually, now that I think about it, very similar. Because if you think about it, in my opinion, and maybe some people are going to disagree with this, but the final episode of Stranger Things, like the actual final episode, is an amazing episode, especially that epilogue. It's amazing, and a lot of what they do in that final episode is really, really good. Mind you, it's 2.5 hours. One, The Boys doesn't have 2.5 hours, but I am expecting a really good final episode. I am. I'm worried, but I am expecting to get the final showdown between Butcher and Homelander and the wrap up to the Deep and all of these other characters. Mind you, I don't think the Deep should have even made it this far, but we'll talk about that later. But everything leading up to it has been bad. And that's kind of the same thing with Stranger Things. Now, granted, we weren't as low on those early episodes, but it was a very similar feeling of, okay, things feel a little rushed. How are we going to wrap all this up? How are things going to come together? And then in the end, they did kind of come together, but it still felt rushed, especially leaning into that epilogue. In The Boys doesn't even have as much time as Stranger Things, which is why I think The Boys is going to be worse than Stranger Things, because it might still, just like Stranger Things, give us the things that we really wanted to see. Everyone defeating Vecna, and the Mind Flayer, mind you, and all of our characters having a happy ending, or most of our characters having a happy ending, and all of these elements. I think The Boys is going to be very, very similar, but it's going to have that same feeling of we needed more.
Yeah, I think the only thing that would change from Stranger Things, and again, it really just depends on how the episode goes, depending on how much they give to this final confrontation and fight sequence wherever it takes place. Like if they give 5 minutes of setup, 30 minutes of uh, uh confrontation, big final fight, and then what would be 30 minutes because it's an hour and 5 minutes. That's what it is, an hour and
Hour
five.
and 5 minutes, and that's confirmed, by the way, via the theatrical release of the like in 4DX. So
And
not
then,
like rumors or anything. If you go to the 4DX showing, it says.
but
an
then
hour and
like
5 minutes.
25 minutes to 30 minutes of just like resolution, wrapping up each character arc or whatever. I don't even think for The Boys you really need that much. Stranger Things you needed more because you had so many.
Correct.
I think by the end of this episode you're probably not going to actually.
Most of them are going to be dead. So
I don't think you're going to need that.
Most of the wrap ups are going to be them dying. Like the Deep's going to die, Homelander's going to die, Butcher's going to die. That's going to be their character wrap up.
We'll touch on that in a minute, but I think that honestly, as long as the confrontation's at least 30 minutes, it'll be long enough to justify. Yep, that because the confrontation in Vought Tower in season 3, I think was only like 20. Like it was long, but it was only like 20, and I think you need 30 minutes at the very least to wrap up the 5 season arc of these characters to kind of justify it, which would set it apart from Stranger Things, which was, hey, it's like the final confrontation. I think with like the big Mind Flayer thing was. How long was Will's coming out scene? It was shorter than that.
No, it was longer. People were wrong.
Oh, they were.
That.
Oh, they were exaggerating.
They were exaggerating. But I think the problem with your point is you're bringing up the Vought Tower example. That's wrapping up a season of television. This is wrapping up a show. And this is a conversation we already had offline, but I'll bring it back up, is the big difference between a story being told in an hour and a half in a movie and a difference between telling an hour and a half a story in an hour and a half in a TV show, especially when it's the finale, is in a movie, you only have to wrap up what you set up in that movie, which is going to be very limited. You're only wrapping up an hour and a half of storytelling. In The Boys, for 7 years, you're wrapping up 70, 80, 90 hours of television in an hour. Not like, granted, you can say, oh, well, they did that the final season. Not with this final season, though. That's the problem, is if they had done, again, this episode spread throughout a little bit more with some additional scenes, yeah, maybe I'd agree with you. They've set up the finale throughout the entirety of the final episode, so it's not just wrapping up the story in an hour. Only person who feels wrapped up now are either the people who are dead, which most of them we don't give a shit about, other than Frenchie, and now Frenchie died right at the end of this episode, which, mind you, I don't know if we want to talk about this now. Frenchie's death scene was executed perfectly.
Oh, that was
gut-wrenching.
That actually got a tear out of me.
Him shaking in his boots, terrified of Homelander, only to realize I'm going to die, sticking the middle finger up, insulting him to his face, which, mind you, is why Homelander didn't immediately kill him, because he has risk. This is why I think this is beautiful foreshadowing. We set it up with a legend where, yes, Homelander was responsible for Frenchie's death, but honestly, a lot of his death mainly came from the radiation poisoning more than Homelander.
Yeah.
Homelander let him live. It's really the radiation that killed him from what we've seen. And so that, I think, is so well set up because Frenchie finally stood up to Homelander, gave him the middle finger, gave the absolute banger of a line of, I bet you've never danced a time in your life. That was probably my favorite line of the entire season so far, almost. Like, that was such a banger of a line.
Well, yeah, but it just invokes his entire season 5. I know you didn't like the season 5 Kimiko
I,
Frenchie stuff.
I didn't mind their stuff together. I want to make that clear. I don't know if I've said that before, but I have not really had a big problem, at least retroactively, with the Kamiko Frenchie stuff together, as much as I've had a problem with everything they've done with Kamiko individually, which does
like
bleed into
it bleeds
some
into it,
of the
but
stuff.
that's
like,
Kimiko. That's not Frenchie.
yeah, them breaking up, I had somewhat of a problem with, but I always like Frenchie. I knew Frenchie would come around eventually, and he did before he died, in the sense of, okay, maybe kids aren't such a bad thing, and him finally opening up. I think my view on them breaking up, it was annoying because it felt like a plot thread we didn't need to go over.
Yeah.
But I didn't have as big of a problem with it because I knew Frenchie would come around, because Frenchie only did that because he was scared. And when Frenchie was no longer scared and he saw a future, or when he was so scared he was like, doesn't matter anyway, you can make either argument, he finally came around. And that, mind you, was before he knew he was going to die for sure. Because that was back when they were talking when we thought Kamiko was gonna die.
Well, and again, I after having Frenchie's death and the scene and all of it, I actually look back on all of season 5, and I actually just love everything they did with those characters now. I think Kimiko talking like a teenage girl and being,
that's horrible, and
it's
it will
just
stay
so
terrible.
dumb.
It will stay
It's
terrible.
so dumb.
That will stay terrible. Like, I'm sorry, there's no defending that decision at all. It makes no sense.
I did see a thing, and this is in the only shots we haven't seen that's like from the trailer, Kimiko's sign languaging when they're all like in like a hotel room like talking or whatever. I don't know if it's a trailer for the final episode.
There has not been a trailer for the final episode.
Okay, well,
so...
I saw somebody like take like, okay, here's the things we haven't seen that are clearly in the finale.
Okay.
And it's like Kimiko doing sign language or whatever. So I think she's going back.
Honestly, I would not be surprised. I'm expecting a pretty tragic ending. Like, I don't think many of these characters are going to get happy endings. Well, like, clearly Kamiko's not getting a happy ending. Frenchie's dead, so...
Let me ask this question. There's no sequel show, because Gen V is now canceled, so there's no sequel show. Do you think there's a chance Homelander could win?
No. If he does, I think The Boys will go down as one of my most disappointing shows of all time. Here's why. I understand that they're making a political commentary on all the stuff that's going on right now. We're not going to comment on that. However, for how depressing The Boys has been, there's always been an air of of hope in there. That was literally a line in this episode from Huey about hope. That's the message that a show needs to have if they're going to make a commentary on the current political landscape, is hope. Because I'm sorry, if your message at the end of this is the bad guys win and there's no hope and there's nothing we can do about it, that makes the entire show pointless. And I think Homelander winning is so unbelievably pessimistic and such a pretentious bullshit take that would ruin everything the show has ever done for me, and that's just the way that I feel about it.
Funny enough, I actually could have believed Homelander living after getting the V1, like at the end of that cutoff at the end of the episode, and Butcher says run and everything, which I want to touch on that in a second, because I told you I want to touch on that when we talked a few days ago. I believed him winning then, but now we've had a whole episode of story and things built up that are different. Here's the biggest complaint I have with this episode, and it's a take it or leave it complaint, because like,
I'll probably agree with you.
With how much they did in this episode character wise, fine, whatever, I can write it off, but it's something I would have liked to have seen. Is he gets the V1, Butcher says run, and then the next shot we get at the episode is Homelander in the White House. I understand they can get away, and they probably wouldn't have made a fuss about it, but like, Homelander has to know they were there.
Yeah,
Homelander has
like
to know that,
like
like,
that's one of my biggest problems with The Boys in general, especially this final season, is we literally showed in this episode that all Frenchie needed to do was tap on a little piece of a door frame and Homelander came running, which mind you, terrifying.
right.
Absolutely beautiful. Like I loved that shit. But if he can hear that well, he could have like I'm sorry
He
you
should
can
have heard
say
Butcher. He
exactly
should have heard
like
Butcher.
I get it, you can make the argument of like, oh well, he was going through the transformation and he wasn't. Clearly the transformation didn't take that long, so it's like I don't think they could have gotten away fast enough of against V1 Homelander,
It depends.
specifically V1 Homelander. So I fully agree with you. I think we should have seen like them just starting the episode like
Right.
nothing happened. I think was dumb. And again, it's another example of everything feels rushed.
Well, again,
It's we don't have time to explain this. We need to just show the next thing.
well, again, that's why I'm saying, like, it's a take it or leave it thing for me. I would obviously have preferred it,
Yeah.
but I can't be overly upset about it because, like, at the end of the day, yeah, I guess if they were going to get away anyway, it doesn't matter if we saw
Yeah,
that or not. We can just assume that they got away.
I,
I get that.
I would have liked to see one honestly, and I know this is maybe a weird take. I would have liked to have seen a one character die, them trying to get away.
Sage.
I think
It should
Sage.
have been Sage.
I think Sage. Well, then you wouldn't be able to get the Soldier Boy Kimiko powers, but maybe make that Frenchie's death, or maybe make that be Mother's Milk's death, or someone's death, because again, them there hasn't been enough consequences for characters we care about this season. And I had a whole argument with someone about this earlier this week where someone was like, there's been so many deaths. The only death that we've cared about is A-Train, and that's just because it was done so well. Now, obviously, Frenchie's death is another beautiful death that I think was executed perfectly. We don't care about Noir 2. I'm sorry. We
Right.
simply don't. We don't care about the Rector that died. We don't care about the two characters that died with the virus that we just introduced for the purposes of dying.
You weren't supposed to care about those.
Exactly. But I'm just saying, like, when you're talking Scorched Earth finale, the entire show has been building up to Scorched Earth. That's literally been the words that the characters have used, not the showrunners, the characters. The show has been telling us Scorched Earth. I don't feel very Scorched Earth because no one we care, there's been no consequences. Again, the perfect example of that is another example is Homelander knew that they were hiding in that vent, and yet he flew away.
Yeah.
Like why
I
make
saw
that
that.
make sense? Make that make sense. That was a complaint that I had watching the episode of okay, I get it. Frenchie hurt your will feelings or whatever, but he didn't. We literally showed that he actually likes when people stand up to him, and that was a big thing with the legend, and it's why Homelander let Frenchie live and didn't crush his skull. So he wasn't like caught his panties in a bunch or whatever. He knew that they were in there, and if you make the argument that oh he just forgot because of everything that, so you're just telling me that Homelander is stupid now?
So
like I hate that.
The only argument I could see somebody make, and it's I'm not saying it's a weak argument, but it's an argument that you're like, I mean, I guess, but like it doesn't really have much merit to stand on. Is Frenchie didn't lie. Like Kimiko had the Soldier Boy powers by the time that she was in the thing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Homelander, even though they didn't show it, was scared enough of that to kind of, especially because he knew the boys were on the way back, like they were right around the corner and whatnot. That he probably flew off, not wanting to even take a chance or risk it. That's like
I think that's a dumb argument. I think that's
it's but it is an argument nonetheless.
It's an argument, but I think it's a dumb one. I do.
I agree with you, but it is an argument that still can technically stand. It's just not
Well,
a
because
great
and
one.
and here's the thing, like Homelander, again, they've depowered and powered, like his power scaling has been so inconsistent, but we've seen before that he can tell when people are lying, so he knew Frenchie was, at least he thought he was telling the truth, because that's an argument I've also seen from people that, oh, was he lying to Homelander? Well, not lying to Homelander, but did Kimiko actually get the powers? Like, did it actually work? Because technically we never proved that it worked. They did. They did. Like, it worked. I'm sorry. I think that'd be stupid if they didn't, if we went through the whole episode and she just didn't have the powers.
It would make Frenchie's death more tragic.
It would, but I think it'd be stupid.
I agree.
Because then you have zero weight that you've set up to kill Homelander at all. So we need something, and clearly that's Kimiko. I think, and this is divulging off topic again, but like, I think the way that they need to end the show to make it even remotely serviceable is Kamiko takes away Homelander's powers and Butcher's powers at the same time, and they brawl it out man to man, and Homelander gets brutally murdered in like as a human because he's nothing without his powers, proving the point that this entire show has been building to is he's a fragile man only held up by his powers, and him having his powers taken away and Butcher killing him, mind you, without powers. Like, if Butcher kills a depowered Homelander with powers, I think that's so fucking stupid. I think it needs to, for me personally, and if you don't have a problem with this, whatever, that's your own prerogative, but for me personally, it needs to end with Homelander depowered, Butcher depowered, and them brawling it out, man to man, fist to fist, as humans, and Homelander dying brutally.
So, don't take offense to this when I ask this. I'm just curious. Are you pulling this from like what other people have said to you or what you've thought?
No, that is genuinely like when they introduced the concept of Kamiko having the Soldier Boy powers, the idea is to remove Homelander's powers because we know that, like, that's the other thing. The V1 has never felt consequential to me at all because we know Marie can kill people with a V1 and we know Soldier Boy's powers can take away V1. Now, obviously, you can make the argument of, oh, well, of course it wasn't going to be Soldier Boy because Marie is still another example, so it never really felt consequential to me. But I do think that now that you've introduced the concept, I do think that, like, that is the way that this show needs to end.
And I wasn't saying that to have you take offense to it. It was just more so like, oh, okay, because that's the running.
It is. It is the running theory. I know, but I came up with that. I don't want to say, oh, I came up with that on my own, but, like, as I'm watching the episode and they introduced the concept, I was like, this is what they're setting up for. Or at least I hope this is what they're setting up for.
There are a lot of other running theories.
Again, Homelander winning is apparently a really popular theory that I think is I think it's a valid theory with the way that the season's been going, but I think it's a bad ending.
There's a theory that I read somewhere that we're not going to actually see Butcher die, but it will be said like he is going to. But like the thing that we're going to see is like maybe he goes somewhere. I've heard one where it's like he's going to be like on a beach with his Hawaiian shirt.
You think it'll be a John Wick 4 style ending?
Like know he's going to die eventually, but it's like he's just relaxing and earning like he did what he set out to do.
Yeah,
he's just gonna like relax with it. I've heard that, which I don't know how I feel about that. We'll see what happens when I get there. Seeing like jump cuts to like through Starlight and Huey's life because they do believe at both point. I think at this point they both have to live.
Yeah,
they both have. To
I think the only other main characters, because they've already said that there's other main characters that are going to die. Mother's Milk, I think, is poised to die.
I don't think he's going to die. I think he still is the most poised.
I think he's out of the main remaining boys. Yes. Kamiko is poised to die, but I also think that Kamiko dying would kind of suck after Frenchie dying. I think one of them needs to live on. I think Butcher is the highest problem. Like, if they don't kill him, I think that's bad. Huey, if they kill him, I think is bad personally. Starlight, I would take it or leave it. I think that they should leave her alive, but admittedly, she's one of those characters that I take or leave.
It's like
Sage is gonna die. Sage is gonna die. I would say the Deep and Sage are probably going to die within the first 5 minutes of the next episode.
I don't think I think Deep's making it out.
Deep has to die. He has to. He literally raped Starlight in the first episode. If he doesn't die, I think that's ridiculous.
No, hold on. I think he's okay. Hold on. I think he's making it out of Homelander's grasp, or he's making it out of the boys' grasp.
Oh no! He's going to drown.
Yeah, he's going to die to his fish friends.
We've already set up, and I think here's the thing: it's already been foreshadowed. You know why? The popcorn bucket. Yeah. The popcorn bucket realistically looks like the Deep diving, like drowning in the water. Like, I picked up on that I was like, okay, I get that this is a riff on the Wolverine thing, but like, why does it look like he's like drowning? Maybe it was a setup of that's how the Deep dies. Yeah. Because, and granted, this is pulling from insider information, not insider, but like the actor for the Deep has openly admitted in interviews that he wants the Deep to die by drowning. And I think it's been really clearly set up with now the ocean hating the Deep for that to be the way that he dies. And I think it'd be if we're not gonna get Starlight or Huey killing the Deep as revenge for what he did, I think the next best thing is the Deep has been stripped of the Seven, he's been stripped of everything, and he drowns. I think that is, I wouldn't say the perfect send off for the Deep, but it's not a bad one at all. And I think that's gonna happen very quickly.
I think Deep has the most interesting end, or is poised for the most interesting end, because here's how I kind of look at it. He's a horrible human being. Not disputing that fact at all. He is going to die in the most brutal way possible. I think towards this last episode, he's not getting redemption, but he's going to kind of wake up and realize that I've given my everything to this, and now it means nothing. And so it's not going to be that the animals kill him because they're attacking him and dragging him under. I think it's going to be he just commits suicide. He just jumps in and he accepts it because he knows that everything he's done up to this point is kind of like the worst.
When you said like, oh, maybe not redemption, I was so afraid you were gonna say something I was gonna like hard disagree with.
No. Not redemption.
Because like you can't redeem the Deep. I don't want him to help at all. I don't want him to switch up. I want him to die like the sad sack of shit that he is.
Well, he is.
Like, no, I know he will. But what I
the...
mean by that is like I want him to die in the most physically and mentally pathetic way possible, and I do think that that's what we're set up to do. And I think
but
that
like him committing suicide would be the most pathetic way possible.
Yeah, I do think that suicide is what we're poised to. I think that obviously the whole everyone hates him now because he let the man drown on video, which, mind you, I fully thought that he was going to die trying to save the man and try to be like, oh, I'm still the hero. I love that he didn't save the person. I love that. Like, I was so worried that they were going to be like, oh, he saves him and he drowned trying. No, don't give that man an ounce. Like, that man deserves to be shamed. Now, it's unfortunate that someone had to die, but like,
sure.
yeah, but at the same time, like, Samuel L. Jackson, the shark, is not very happy.
Yeah, I was going to ask, did you realize that was Sam Jackson?
Immediately. It's Samuel L. Jackson. He talks like Samuel L. Jackson. That's the thing. It's not even like, oh, I recognize his voice. That motherfucking shark is Samuel L. Jackson. Like, he just talks like a motherfucker. It was great.
Thank you, Sam Jackson, for being in the show. So sorry that you're coming in at a weird time.
Yeah, unfortunate that you made your cameo in the worst season of The Boys, but
honestly, I still think that's debatable for me because
I'll
know after the finale for sure. I still think that might be debatable for me.
So here's my argument. The other counter to that is season 4. It is definitively the other worst season. I might only give it to you not because I think this season is better than it. I think this season is worse than season 4. However, because of how bad season 5 is, it feels like they're wasting half of what they did in season 4, and therefore, to me, makes season 4 even worse than it was to begin with. Like, season 4 as a product itself wasn't that great. But it was only not great because it felt like it was setting up for the final season of The Boys, and it felt like, okay, nothing's really bad here, but nothing major's happening. It's mainly just we're setting up, we understand, we need time to set up a big bombastic finale. Now that a lot of what's happened in that final season feels like it got kind of thrown out the window, mainly obviously the stuff with the virus, it kind of is like, okay, buddy, now season 4 feels even more pointless than it did originally. Maybe you'll disagree with me, but
I think where season 4 shines is the fact that it has more focus than season 5 does.
Absolutely.
I think season 4 has more focus, but like you said, because that focus ends up now being thrown out the window with now being, again, a last-ditch effort, the virus isn't going to be the thing that cuts it anymore.
Yeah. Season 4 is a significantly better put together season. It has a focus, it has a goal. In my opinion, it doesn't really feel like all that, like, yeah, there's some filler feeling stuff, but that's only because the pacing is a little slow because you need time to set things up.
Correct.
This final season is the exact opposite of that. Not because, oh, well, they took the time to set it up in season 4, so now they can be balls to the walls. It feels like everything is just moving at a rapid yet glacier pace because they have to set everything up. Like, the V1 was not a factor at all in season 4, not even in the finale, and then it just becomes a factor in this season. And then, oh, the Kamiko getting soldier, like, all of these things that they're setting up to be the finale, I never wanted it to be the virus, because I thought that was kind of a weird way to end the show, so I'm happy that it's not, but it still feels weird that you've spent so much time setting it up to then kind of, like, juke us.
So
You broke our ankles.
let me touch on a subject and don't say anything yet because you're gonna jump on my ass the moment I phrase it like this. And
Understood.
I'm not meaning it the way I'm phrasing it, so we're gonna have to
Okay.
probably have a dialogue
Okay.
about it until we understand completely what I'm talking
I will
about.
do my best.
You said to me a few days ago that there's only one character that they've, lack of a better term, butchered in this entire season, which would eventually lead to the entire show. And I've now thinking about it, I don't agree with the word butcher. First off, the character that he referenced was Soldier Boy. That you referenced was Soldier Boy. You thought they completely butchered that character entirely. There is such a thing in a show, in a film, and we've seen this many times before, where characters are used not for their own personal arc or for their own personal gain, but to push somebody else's story along. I do think Soldier Boy does do that for Homelander very well. Again, the biggest flaw with Soldier Boy this season is that he is pretty much an ad for Vought Rising. But again, he doesn't really have an arc this season. He doesn't really have like other than the big thing at the end of season or not season episode 6 when he finally gives Soldier Boy the V1 and whatnot. That's the only real thing, and it doesn't impact like his character all that much because they never really like set up anything major with that. It was just like a thing in episode 6. His character this whole season has been focused primarily on pushing Vought Rising ads and pushing Homelander story along, and that's why whenever he went out the way he did in this episode, where he's just kind of not like an afterthought, but just like taken out and then not to be seen again, it doesn't surprise me, and I don't think they butchered him because he still maintained the same characteristics of the butchering the character would be completely pulling a 180 on every single thing they believe, every way they act.
I'll
But the
agree a
characteristics of the
little.
character is still there. And that's what I'm saying. Is like I agree with what you're saying, but it's to say that they butchered it. And I gave an example of this, and for listeners at home, I'm gonna explain this. A character that they once butchered was Jaime Lannister in Game of Thrones. He had a whole redemption arc. He is not the Kingslayer. He cares about people. He's not the person that the mass population makes him out to be until the second to last episode when they're like, hey, by the way, I fuck people. I don't give a crap about them. I just want to go die with my sister. That is the most horrid ending to a character in the history of characters ever. Soldier Boy is nowhere near that level in any regard. But I acknowledge what you do say as like I do think it's problematic for pushing ads and kind of pushing his Homelander's arc along. But because that's the purpose of his character this season, I'm not as mad at it because that's a justified reason for having a character come in because it's been done so many times before. And in my opinion, again, I think it actually kind of works all the way through episode 6. I'm just a little upset at episode 7 because I don't like that the fact that he's not going to be an 8 at all.
Yeah, and I wish the fact that we didn't know that he was not going to be an 8, but it's been like Discussing Film is the one who confirmed it, and like Discussing Film is like never wrong,
Right.
or I should say very rarely wrong.
Collider also reported it, and I don't think they're wrong ever.
Yeah,
Usually,
like
so.
official news outlets are reporting this, and therefore like it's confirmed. Which like that's my thing is I might have agreed with you that maybe they didn't like definition butcher his character, but they still kind of fucked it a lot, like, and they still did a lot of terrible things with it. I only push back because I think that the way that they just froze him in carbonite and we're never going to see him again, and that's the way his character went, I would call that butchering, in my opinion. I think
Yeah.
I would call that, if that's the way that they're going to go with his character, that to me is butchering.
It's not butchering such a because like butchering character assassination are kind of the same thing.
It is.
It's. I'm gonna let you use the word because I can't think of another word to like replace it with. But like, it's not butchering the character. It's underutilizing. I think a piece that you actually have, especially because let's be honest, if they're not revealing in this or in this next episode what they're doing with Soldier Boy, there's probably a strong chance in Vault Rising we're gonna get some sort of jump to the future where we get a
That'd be
definitive
so bad
end.
though. Don't don't
No,
wrap up a main character in a spinoff.
no,
Don't do it.
it actually works very well. Better Call Saul did that, and it worked exceedingly well. So it actually, I think that that's a perfectly fine thing to do. But unfortunately, the reason I'm mad at it a little bit is because you set him up to be in season 5 and to get some sort of resolution for a
Yeah,
character in
and
season
we
5.
didn't.
You just got to give him something other than him just going back in a test tube.
And I just also, you talked about, and this is like another side tangent, but you talked about like, oh well, we don't know, like this is the end of the boys in this current timeline because obviously Vault Rising is in the past. There's one other show that's confirmed that we technically don't know the timeline of, The Boys Mexico. The Boys Mexico is a confirmed TV show spin-off of The
Oh,
Boys.
I forgot
We
about that.
don't know when it takes place, whether it takes place during, before, after. I don't think that's been confirmed, and I would hate if they'd saved any character wrap-ups for just like how they're like, oh, well, the spin-off shouldn't, like, again, if Gen V is not going to influence the main story of The Boys, why is another spin-off going to that's just such my biggest problem with this, is it's the inconsistencies. And I've seen jokes online, and I don't know how seriously people are taking them, but I've seen it before where it's like my big thing that I've said before is like, The Boys will go down as one of the most ironic endings in history of a show because it started as a counter to superhero media and will die a product of superhero media because of its spin-offs and stuff like that. And I saw some people online with huffing copium in the sense of like, oh well, that's actually the point, is that it is dying because of the spin-offs because it's a commentary. That is such clear copium, because if a commentary is going to be a commentary, it needs to show them how to do it better. That's a good commentary in my opinion. So I think that, are you trying to find stuff on Boys Mexico
No,
or
I was trying to find some because like I thought when the list of rumors came out, I thought I heard one where it was like Huey and Starlight end up moving to like Mexico to escape everything.
God, that'd be terrible.
Which if it would be following Huey and Starlight,
That'd be terrible.
I just well, it's not that it would be terrible. I just don't know what they would do because like how they're wrapping up is they're gonna get away scot free. They're gonna have a happy life together. You have to kind of undo that thing
Yeah.
to kind of get it. Unlike
Yeah.
with the Soldier Boy thing, you can tell it because A, it's a prequel, and B, if you're jumping to the future a little bit, you're wrapping up a story probably with something like Mother's Milk just absolutely snapping his neck or something when he's like,
That's the other unfortunate part that really, really sucks, is we've honestly not as much, but genuinely near the same amount. We've been building up Homelander and Butcher almost as much as we've been building up Mother's Milk in Soldier Boy.
that's an exaggeration, but
Like,
I get what you're
from
saying.
season 3 on, every chance that he gets, Mother's Milk and even before season 3, talking about getting revenge on Soldier Boy. We've been building this up since before Jensen Ackles took the mantle as Soldier Boy for him to get revenge. That's not going to happen even remotely. And I get it. That's not the main focus. It's Homelander versus Butcher, but they spend whole half episodes almost in multiple seasons setting up Mother's Milk's vendetta against Soldier Boy, and that hasn't changed. He hasn't forgiven him like Huey forgave A-Train, because that was never Mother's Milk's arc,
Yeah.
and yet we're not gonna get that because he's frozen.
Funny enough, I actually kind of wished it was like this. Yes, I wanted Mother's Milk to be the one to do Soldier Boy in, unless they held him down like they're gonna hold down Homelander to get rid of his powers or whatever that Kimiko has to do. Unless they did that with Soldier Boy, which would be very difficult. I'm gonna be completely honest and just say that I think the best option because Mother's Milk can't go one on one with
He
Soldier
can't,
Boy.
but it's the fact that they didn't even get any like final words or final
No, no, no,
conversation.
but
Like the only time that they even remotely interacted was for 30 seconds in the house.
right, but what I'm saying is I actually kind of wish Homelander just killed Soldier Boy in this scene.
Yeah.
Because it actually could have also served. I know we're gonna get that moment where he snaps completely and just
Yeah.
goes insane. Because
That could have acted
well,
as
that's the other thing I
yeah.
wanted to touch on, which we'll talk about in a second. That could have acted as the prowess of, fuck it, you don't accept me, fine.
Yeah.
Nobody does. Kill Soldier Boy, which would be a tragic end to him, in all honesty, and actually a very
Correct.
fitting end for him.
But I think it's the thing of like, I would have much preferred that than whatever the hell they did with choking him out. That's the other thing. Like, I get it. Homelander has V1 now as well. The fact that Soldier Boy was caught off guard and choked out is so dumb. And that's another, I would call that character assassination. I know you might not, but I would. Where it's like, oh, this really strong character that we've built up to be all this. Oh, and he got choked out by a sneak attack. And again, it's the argument of the terrible power scaling in The Boys. And if you don't have a problem with that, I think you're wrong.
No, it's not character assassination, it's the power scaling. It's the power scaling
I think
there.
it's both, personally, but
Again, character assassination has to do with the traits of a character and the way the character
that is a
acts.
character trait, though, in my
That
opinion.
no,
Like,
that's just dumb writing.
yeah, I
That's not
guess.
assassinating your character. That's just dumb writing.
I
Like
guess.
Homelander not going after Sage and Kamiko in the thing. Like it's just dumb writing. Um, but touching on what I said about Soldier Boy, what I said I kind of wanted to touch on. Um, you know, sorry, I completely lost train of thought. And what did I want to touch on again? I said it during the Soldier Boy talk. What was I talking about specifically?
I don't remember.
Okay, it clearly wasn't important
Nope.
enough. It doesn't matter all that much.
We're both tired. It is. God, it's 10:22.
Ten
Honestly, not
twenty.
as late as I thought, but
No,
yeah.
as I said that we would have been done a long time ago.
We would have been. Well, I would be home by now.
Probably.
Yeah. That's not the point
Um,
we're talking about.
no.
No, but I don't know if you have anything major else to say
Other
with
than the
the
thing I was thinking
boys.
about,
Yeah.
which would have been major. Again, let me wrap up my thoughts by saying this. Similar to Stranger Things, and honestly, I depending on how this finale goes with the boys, there is a strong chance that I still might say I might like the boys' final season more than Stranger Things. It's not by much, but there is still the chance I could, and I think it's just all depending on how if the finale goes the way I think it should. I think the biggest thing I'll say about it is it will be the most disappointing I think just like final season of any show because of how rushed this episode specifically feels. Because again, I'm
Yeah.
not the biggest hater of everything that came before it. I actually think as far as the boys season goes, this is about right. This is what you would get.
For
I
a standard season, not for a final
but
season.
again,
That's my
but
counter.
again, then we reach this episode where everything just feels so rushed and we have so many things that we're doing all at once that it's like, oh, okay. I'm not worried that it's going to end bad. I'm worried that I'm not going to be as satisfied or filled up at the end of it because of the fact that this episode didn't do the correct thing and
Yeah. Again,
space it
I
out.
think that I think they will do a lot of the characters right in the finale. I genuinely do. I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, believe that we're going to get Homelander and Butcher killing each other, or Butcher killing Homelander. I think we're going to get all of that, and I think it's going to be great. I think the way that we got there, though, is going to suck so bad that it's going to suck all of the wind out of the enjoyment of finally seeing it happen. That's my
Yeah.
point. And I
Well,
think you can
yeah.
semi agree with that. Maybe not to the
Not
degree,
to the
but
degree,
the
but yes.
sentiment, I
I
think you can
yes,
understand.
I completely agree with that to I guess a lesser extent. I
Yeah.
agree with that. Um I think where I'm going to look back on this after this episode, and I'm making this now prediction now because we'll get the final episode and I'll really be able to tell you is I'll be able to look back and say, do I want to rewatch The Boys? Yeah, I think I'll be able to do that and rewatch The Boys. Unlike something like Game of Thrones or Dexter, where you really don't ever want to rewatch it because of how bad some shows like that get. Um, I think I'll still be able to look back after this finale and go, I'll watch The Boys, but temper expectations of how, you know, not mediocre, but disappointing. I'm going to stick with that word because that's the best way to describe it. Is disappointing the finale will actually be.
I think that there are some shows, and this will be where I leave off my thoughts. I think there are some shows that bad finales don't affect the rest of the show. I do. I genuinely think, I mean, mainly like sitcoms and stuff, obviously, but I do think that there are some shows that how bad the ending is doesn't as heavily impact the ending, like the enjoyment of a show as a whole. I think a show like The Boys, though, that has specifically been building to one goal for the entire show, not like we just shoehorned in an additional goal at the end. I think that that is a show that for me is easily ruined by a bad ending
Yeah.
or a bad final season, because I know that for the entire 5 seasons, we're building to this goal and they were building to this big monumental moment that ends up being a disappointment. Shows that it doesn't get as heavily impacted by the ending would be a show that has multiple goals, and then the end is a goal that maybe wasn't a goal from the beginning or something like that,
Sure.
and they just don't execute it as well.
Sure.
Like Dexter, I think, would be an example that I haven't even seen, but honestly, even with how bad the Dexter thing is, like Dexter didn't have like a single goal of like kill everyone in the world, and then he doesn't type of thing. Butcher's goal has been to kill Homelander from the beginning, and they're just not executing on that well.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my counter slash opinion on that. But yeah, that's been our thoughts on the boys semifinale. Do we want to talk about the thing that we're talking about just as a tease or not? the possibility of the thing happening.
No, because I want to save it. I'll say this one: potentially a special episode.
Correct.
Potentially
Okay,
a special
that's
episode.
what that is exactly. There is a potential where on Wednesday, the day the boys' final episode drops, we will release an episode of the podcast that is focused on the boys' final season and probably a movie or two. There's been a few movies that we just, because I'm in person and because of scheduling and things like that, we just haven't been able to see. I'm not going to name those movies because
Right.
nothing's been officially determined yet. We don't even know if the final thing is going to happen, but that would leave Mando and Grogu its own dedicated episode, which I think works perfectly. It's a Star Wars movie.
Correct.
I hope we have a full episode's worth of content to talk about.
Right.
But yeah, that's been the boys. Ready for Cheap Detective?
Have we seen the second coming of Jesus Christ, Brandon?
Do you want me to give my
Yeah, yeah,
thoughts?
yeah. Have we seen the second coming of Jesus Christ?
Let me. I don't know why I just did that. That's weird. Dude, Cheap Detective rocks. Cheap Detective is such a good fucking movie. It is so much better than it has any right to be. It is the best looking movie of the year, almost. Like, maybe not the best. Like, probably give that to Project Hail Mary. But, like, this has some of the best effects besides Project Hail Mary of the year. Every sheep looks real. Even their mouth movements and their talking looks really good. The story is a banger. Like, it's a solid mystery movie, but that's not even the main focus of the movie. It's kind of plays second fiddle to the heart and soul of many different major, like, important elements of life. One, death, obviously, with him being murdered, but also discrimination and family and many elements that I was just not expecting for them to give so much of a well thought out and mature opinion and thought and time to. Like, this is not rushed. This is a very well paced movie. Well, I will say, the ending and the way that it comes together is probably my only major gripe with it. I do think that some things, like, they kind of just like, okay, we've told the story we want to tell, let's end now. I do feel like that's kind of a little bit my thoughts on it, but I don't have as big of a problem on it because, again, the mystery was never really the main focus of the movie. The main focus of the movie is these sheep coming to terms with death and life and discrimination and accepting each other and family. And I thought that was so. I cried multiple times during this movie. I thought it was just so well done that I think this is easily one of my favorite movies of the year. Easily top three, probably. I need to look at my list again, but I think right now Michael is my number three movie. This is easily better than Michael by a country mile, which is unfortunate to say, but like this movie, just like the acting is amazing from Hugh Jackman and all of the side characters. It has just enough camp and whimsy that like I would expect out of this movie. This movie feels unique in a way, like not unique, it feels very much a product of what this movie should be in the way that it is shot and the way that it is color graded and the way that it is acted. It has just the right amount of camp to make it a family movie, but just the right amount of serious to make it like matter and have depth to it. Like, I walked away so elated that we were able to watch and talk about this movie. Like, I was so happy.
I need to think about this more, but I'm going to be ballsy and just say this statement. This might be my favorite movie of the year. It's close because I really like Project Hail Mary a lot, and it's kind of funny that this is my favorite movie of the year, especially because I thought at the beginning of the year this thing would be dog shit, especially based on the trailer. This is a incredibly sweet and heartwarming story from start to finish. Um, the voice cast does an incredible job. The actors that are in the movie do an incredible job for the time that they're in it. It's really only Nicholas Braun who's like the main center focus of this as the police detective, and Hugh Jackman obviously, but Nicholas Braun is like I guess the main human character. Um, the way it's written is very clever. A lot of this is like you said a film that really can be enjoyed by all ages, but it's also a murder mystery story that it doesn't go overly dark. Like it deals enough with the theme that it's a murder mystery, so it's a little dark. It's dealing with murder, but it's enough to where you can genuinely give this as like a first murder mystery, like your kids, and they will have a fun time with it. I think even for adults, you can have a fun time with this. Yes, it's got every now and again it might have like one really stupid childish humor joke. It's typical in a film like this, but there is a heart and soul to this film that is just so deeply resonating that you just have to acknowledge that it's great. It is absolutely fantastic. The way it wraps up in the end, yeah, I teared up. I'm not as much of a pussy as you are. I didn't full on bawl and cry, but uh, I did. I did shed a tear because there was they did a lot of things in that ending that really brought the whole project together and made it feel like something that I want to go back to the theaters and rewatch. Like I texted my friends after saying, "Let's go next week. I want to watch this with y'all just to see y'all's reaction." I think this film, like you said, just had no right to be as good as it was, and it was pretty damn well good.
I mean, I think the biggest compliment you can give a movie is, I want to go see this again. I genuinely think that like that is the biggest compliment you can give a movie is, I want to see this again, and specifically, I want other people to experience. Like I want to bring other people
I want other
along
people
this
to experience
experience.
the
Yeah.
joy that this film brings.
Yeah, I think that is the highest compliment you can give a movie, and I absolutely agree. I'm gonna go home and probably tell my family, like, hey, if you have time, go see this movie. They probably won't, but
Yeah.
I'm still gonna tell them either way. I think the thing that shocked me most about this movie, and we'll start here,
Yeah.
it's very competent for a murder mystery. Like I was
Yeah.
expecting, like I didn't guess it. I'm gonna be honest with you, but I also wasn't focusing on it. But like I felt like they were trying to be a family-friendly Knives Out in a
Yeah.
way, in terms of the way that the mystery unfolded, and I thought that they did a really impressive job with it.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. Again, I think that I was focusing more on the mystery, so this would be my only complaint I actually have with the movie, maybe. And it's such a minor thing that I can't really care about. The reveal kind of comes out of
It comes out of nowhere.
nowhere.
Yeah, again, that
Like
is
they make it make sense, which is great, and I get it perfect. I'm glad you made it make sense, but it does just kind of come out of nowhere. We have a special guest coming back up
yeah.
again, uh,
Um,
but it does kind of just like come out of nowhere to
Yeah,
a certain
no,
extent.
that's literally the only thing that I would maybe have a slight problem with the movie on is, hey, you ended this movie, like, I don't want to say you ended too quickly, because I don't think the movie is too fast or too slow or anything like
No, I
that.
think it's
I
perfectly
think it's
paced.
just oh wow, so we're just gonna end this in a big Benoit. But that's where I brought the Knives Up thing. I think it's the most applicable to the end, is the way that this movie was explained and the way that the mystery like was answered was a very Benoit Blanc final, like,
Mhm.
vomit of the mystery the whole time. The only difference is the character that unveils the mystery has been an idiot the entire time, and Benoit Blanc has typically just known the answer from the
But
beginning.
that's the heartwarming thing about the story of the police detective in this. It's like they set up immediately. He is in fact an idiot. He is not the brightest. He's never had to do this before, but he genuinely cares enough and he wants to try to find a way to make it work and this and that and whatever. Um, so I think it creates a more heartwarming, I guess, just end to this film when he's the one to solve it and he's the one. I actually love the way he solves it too because obviously he signs the paperwork. He's giving over uh Rebecca, right?
Yeah.
He's giving over Rebecca to the police, like the higher up polices. Like he's fully willing to just do it and give it away and whatever. And he looks at the sheep and is like, the people who have literally supported them this entire time, like, is this what you mean? And that's how he solves it. It's great.
Yeah. No, I think again, I fully agree with you. Like him signing the paperwork only to realize like, hey, maybe I shouldn't have done this whole time. I thought that was great. I love that he actually signed the paperwork and then had a change of heart. I just wish that like the flip was a little fast,
Mm,
because like the sheep helped him a lot, but they didn't help him to the degree in which he put all of that together immediately. And,
sure.
and maybe you can make the excuse of like, oh, he just didn't like say any of that until now, but I still think that that's like kind of a weak argument in my opinion.
Right.
Um,
And again, like there are a lot of things in the setup that can kind of throw you off. Like obviously with the girl taking, or not the girl, the shop owner taking the letter because she was clear in love with George. And you knew that from the beginning.
Oh yeah, there a
Like they're not
lot
hiding
of
that, but
yeah.
you could have easily led to she for whatever reason murdered George because of that. I'm glad they touched on that in the end to kind of like, oh, you that's why you took the letter,
Yeah.
and this is why this and that and that and whatever. It's again, it's a great thing. My hello Hamilton, everybody, Hamilton the dog,
Yeah.
our personal sheep detective here.
Yeah. No, but I think again, I personally think it's a very competent murder mystery. I don't think it's like again, I don't think it's to the
No,
level of Knives Out,
no,
but it's the fact that like I very clear like I had heard in a review, and again, I don't love listening to reviews before I see a movie. But I had heard in passing, which is what made me decide when I watched like how good this movie was,
mm,
that the one thing that they had a problem with was, oh, the mystery was easily guessable from the beginning. In my opinion, I
right.
don't think it is. I really think that they are clearly setting it up to be the neighbor. And and granted, maybe I thought that because they said that it was obvious, and that to me was the obvious choice, was the neighbor. But like, it was very clear from the beginning that they were setting it up to be the neighbor, working with the butcher specifically. Like, I thought that that was absolutely what they were setting it up to be. And they even literally make you think that like, oh, two murderers, oh well, then they're basically just confirming that it's the butcher working with the
Right.
neighbor. And I love that they are still the two murderers, but
It's just
not
not.
for
It's not the way you think.
correct, it's not the way that you think.
Well, now, so here's the one thing I actually do kind of like about this movie. They kind of eliminate the priest suspect pretty early on.
Yeah, like they immediately they remove the priest suspect and the innkeeper as a like the innkeeper is probably the least prominent like at all, like I guess the priest as well,
No,
like
yeah,
those
I would say
two.
it's the priest. The priest is more not as prominent.
Yeah, but I don't think they need to be, and I'm glad that we don't like. That's the other thing, like especially with the most recent Knives Out, that it
Sure.
kind of feels a little similar in a way. Honestly, like that's a little funny.
Well, yeah, but the thing they touch on and they eliminate him immediately is like, yeah, I took advantage of him. Like he's fully admitting to the
Yeah,
like if he would have killed George, he fully gave away his motive,
yep.
like it just freely.
Like he fully just gets it out on the table. And again, like they kept you led on with like, okay, well they just eliminated the priest. It definitely wasn't the innkeeper because it's clear that she was in love with him, so why would she murder him? And then they string you a little bit more along with the butcher and the neighbor and be like, oh, well it's obviously them. And then for it to be revealed that it was, because that's the other thing that's really interesting is just like with God, what was I was thinking of an example, but scary or Scream.
Yeah.
So in the Scream movies, one of the things that they always do is they outline the rules of a horror movie.
Right.
Almost every single movie they have a scene where a character outlines the rules of a horror movie and then it typically follows them.
Yeah.
This movie does that, but it doesn't follow them.
Right.
That's the fun thing about this that I think makes it a very competent murder mystery.
Yeah.
Is it outlines rules that you think, oh, it's obviously going to follow these. It breaks one of those rules.
Yeah.
They specifically say it's not the grifter. It's always that they think it's going to be the grifter, and it's not the grifter. Now, the grifter that they set it up to be, and it isn't, is the sister, or sorry, the daughter, but in reality, it's the other grifter. It is a grifter, so they break their own rule, and that's what makes it so hard for everyone, including myself, to
Right.
put this together, in my opinion, because they break their own rules, and I think that that is genius.
They break their own rules. It's genius. It keeps you guessing. But again, it at the very end, it makes it like, oh, okay, why is it him? I'm glad they give the examples as to why it's him.
Yeah.
But like, unlike a Knives Out murder where you can follow along and you can kind of pretty much pinpoint it, even like, let's spoilers for Knives Out, the ransom bit at the end,
Yeah.
you could deduct even throughout the movie that it's ransom from the beginning all the way through. You can patch it pretty well together, and I think that movie's incredible. I know that's one of your favorites of all time. Here, it really does come out of nowhere, and it's like, oh, please tell me how, because I never would have had him as a suspect, because he wasn't even a suspect to begin with. Like,
Yeah.
you never put him in there. You put him in there as somebody who was just willing to help with the case, which is what I genuinely thought for the entire time. I never would have guessed.
But I
Yeah.
think that makes it better, honestly.
I
personally
do.
think it makes it better that he was never a suspect. The fact that they never suspected him and yet it turned out to be him. I think that that is, again, what makes it so competent is because it breaks its own rules, it subverts you, it leads you along, and then boom, plot twist. The only problem is the plot twist felt sudden, but that is kind of how plot twists work.
Yeah. Um, I'd agree with that. Let's touch on Jackman for a second because he gives a very very good performance with such little time. Um, and in the scenes, especially later on too, they are very very good. I love the way he connects with this world because, especially because, let's be honest, Jackman's acting to nothing. He's probably acting to like balls on a stick,
If that, honestly, like,
and he's giving such a raw emotional performance in this. And honestly, this I'm giving this credit for the voice actors. First off, I didn't know who the cast was until I looked it up afterward. I knew Bryan Cranston was Sebastian because I know Walter White's voice anywhere. Uh, I couldn't tell who the rest of the cast was beyond. Patrick Stewart.
yeah.
I knew Patrick Stewart because I pick up his voice.
I mean, it's Patrick Stewart, so.
But like, I didn't realize that Julia Louis-Dreyfus was Lily, and she's like a famous, famous actress.
Yeah.
And so there's just like a ton of people that they all give such good performances just with their voice. And the thing that's really unique about this film, you watch some like Lion King live action. There's still some like animated qualities to that kind of make that a little bit easier to tell or believable with the face of the characters. It's the sheep. Like they are just sheep. Same expression every time, and they give such raw performances with it that are believable and heartwarming that it's really, really
Again, like, I would still say that Project Hail Mary is the best looking movie of the year, but I think this is a very close second in terms of visual effects because, like, they look. This movie,
Correct.
honestly, makes me more upset for the industry as a whole. Why is this comedy sheep movie have better CGI than modern Marvel movies do? Now, granted, we know the reason they just fired all their freaking visual effects department,
Correct.
but, like, why does the Sheep Detective have like the best effects of the year minus Project Hail Mary? That's ridiculous to me.
Right.
And that is actually necessary.
Right.
Because if it didn't have good effects, you wouldn't get as raw and emotional while watching this movie. But it's the fact that the sheeps have emotion, not just in their words and in their voice performances, which are really good, but in their facial like, you can see it on their face.
Right.
And that is so impressive that, like, I don't know if this was like mocap or something like that, but like it felt like it to at least their faces.
Well, and again, also the writing of this film is just again sweet.
It's so well done.
I'm not saying it's like Oscar award winning writing by any means. I don't think it is, but I think it's clever writing from the murder mystery perspective. But it's such a sweet story, and that's every character. It just gives you that heartwarming glow feeling that you want from a film like this.
Yeah.
A film about sheep basically trying to solve the case of their owner because they owe it to him or whatever. I don't know. That was one of my favorite aspects about this film because obviously sheep are forgetful.
Yeah.
They're stupid in reality. We know that. But I love that they kind of spin it in this film and make it the whole, I guess I'm going to say, religion of the sheep is kind of actually really cleverly done. But I love how they can choose to forget.
God, no, that was such a beautiful thing. That is what got me to cry. That is what got me to cry, was them choosing to remember.
Yeah.
And I think that is so, like, as someone who's lost family members before,
Yeah.
I know you have as well.
Yeah.
It's the memories that we carry on. It is, and it's the good, it's the bad, it's the ugly, and I thought it was so. I don't think you could do it better. I legitimately don't. I don't think you could tell that element of the story any better because it's so raw and true. I would love to forget the bad. I would love to not feel the pain of losing my grandfather. I would love that. I lost him not that long ago, and it was the most pain I've ever been in my entire life. And I literally, like you see in like movies and stuff, like they fell to their knees when they found. I literally fell to my knees when I found out that my grandfather died. It was like a terrible experience, and I'd love to forget the pain that I felt, but that would mean forgetting the love that I had for my grandfather.
Right.
And I think that element of the story and that hitting so close to home for me, and it's going to hit close to home for almost everyone. And for this being a family movie, preparing kids for loss in that way and doing it so intelligently and not dumbing it down at all is just beautiful. That's
Well,
the problem with a lot of modern family films and kids films specifically, is they dumb down these subjects and treat kids like idiots. This film tells you that sheep die.
well, I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound like a negative, but it's not. Sebastian's death was completely unexpected. Like
It
I
was.
never would have expected them to kill off a character in a film like this, murder mystery beyond George. I never would have expected that, and so when they did that, again, I probably could have predicted that when they said, "Oh yeah, when we die, we become clouds." I should have thought, "Oh, one of them's dying." I should have thought that. I didn't. So when his death really caught me off guard. I was like, "Oh, that's completely unexpected." But I love that they're making that choice. Um,
Yeah, and that being the inciting incident for like, oh yeah,
eh,
like it was so.
well, and the part that I kind of lost it for myself was at the very end. Whenever obviously they don't actually become clouds in the end. They don't do anything of it. But Lily sees Sebastian in the
Yeah,
clouds. It's just such a beautiful moment, and again, it brings it all really well together. And you know, she sees Sebastian and then goes immediately back to hugging the soon to be named George sheep or
yeah,
lamb. Um,
and George be like,
which is also is really funny because whenever they said, "Well, we need to give you a name," I was like, "Oh, they're gonna name him Sebastian," and they, "No, we're gonna name you George." I go, "Okay, so how are they gonna pay off Sebastian?" Oh, that's how they're gonna show
yeah.
that. I was like,
Well,
"That's
and
good."
it's also really funny because like all the sheep have names, and Rachel knows all the names of the sheep except for George, and there's no way for the sheep to tell them that that sheep's name is George.
Yes.
I know that's so stupid, and it's not a complaint whatsoever, but I did like, I thought about that on my drive home. I'm like, wait a second, how is Rachel gonna know that that sheep's name is George?
Well, the sheep were smart enough; they could just spell it out on
True,
whatever.
true. They clearly know how to paint and color
I
theory and
bet
stuff
they
like
could
that. So
easily spell that out. That's not a big deal.
yeah.
But obviously, we're not getting a sequel to this probably. So I
Oh, absolutely not. I hope not. Like this was a very well contained movie.
the sheep just the sheep detectives 2, more wool, more truth.
God, Rachel, like, no, I would hate a sequel to this movie. Like, it would be the definition of unnecessary. Because, like, and I guess you could make the same argument about Knives Out, but Knives Out was very much like a generic,
Knives Out, you can have more sequels.
like Benoit Blanc had no emotional connection to the mystery. He didn't. These sheep did. So if the sheep were to solve another mystery, the only reason you care about this was because they had an emotional connection to the murder.
Correct.
So if they don't have an emotional connection to the murder, it's just like The Handmaid's Tale. Like
Right.
that's my problem. Or not Handmaid's Tale. I just fucked that up. Housemaid.
Right.
I'm not looking forward to the second Housemaid movie because I only care about the Housemaid because it was like a new first time experience and they had a connection and they cared about each other. Clearly, they've already confirmed that they're making another one because there's other books and they're all terrible because they weren't necessary, because they aren't. And that would be like exactly the same way that I felt about a Sheep Detective spinoff. And I know that's a weird comparison to make, but it
But like
is.
comparing it to Knives Out, also it's hard because Knives Out also when they do their mysteries, they're sitting in different locations with different casts.
Exactly,
Blanc is the
because
only one.
exactly, and the only one that would carry through with this would be the sheep. But what are you gonna make the sheep in New York? Like, what are you gonna do? Like, that'd be stupid.
You just can't do a sequel to it.
Yeah,
Unless you tell another mystery similar to it, and instead of sheep, it's like
and I don't think they will. Like,
cows or something.
yeah, and I don't think they will.
I
Like,
again, look, I'm gonna say again what I said about this film in the first place, which is this film was a surprise to me.
mm-hmm.
More of a surprise that I'm even contemplating saying it's my favorite film.
Yeah,
Um, I just think they did so much right from the symbolism to the really rich themes that this film does have, and then tackling it in such a way that again it's a murder mystery, so it's dark based off the murder fact alone, but telling it enough to the point to where it's like you could show this to your kids and they would have a fun time, easily understand, but adults would also like it too, is mind-boggling how they got that to work.
yeah. No, I. Wrapping up our thoughts on this, presumably, unless there's anything else you wanted to talk about, because like it's
uh,
there's a lot to talk about, but there also isn't, because I feel like
we've hit all the main
we've hit
points.
all the main points, and also it's late, admittedly.
Eh.
But no, I really like this. This is one of the most shock. I'm gonna do it right now. Let me pull up what my list is. Give you a little sneak preview as to what my list of movies is this year, because I'm ranking every movie. God, it's difficult. I'm looking at it. It would at least be top three. My top three right now is Hopper's at number one, that hasn't changed, Project Hail Mary at two, and Michael at number three. It is easily better than Michael. Easily,
Yeah.
without question. I don't know if I'd put it above the other two, but I think that's only because I need to sit with it. But I will tell you now, like, confirmed, like, it beats out Michael, which means it'll be in my top
It'll
3,
be in my top
which,
10,
like,
and it'll stay there.
which
sure.
is, like, unfathomable to me. Like, I was not, like, as much of a, I don't want to say hater, because I don't think you were necessarily a hater on this movie necessarily, but, like, I was more, like, open-minded than you were going into this movie, admittedly.
But
I was like,
understandably, though, when you look at a film
yeah,
called The Sheep Detectives, you would kind of think, he might be a bit of a hater on it or whatever.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't really have much more to say on it necessarily. I think it's a great film. Go watch it. Please go watch it if you can.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like, please go see this movie. But if you're going to see this movie, as I already said, please control your kids. Please. For me. And
Theater etiquette.
Yeah, theater etiquette. Teach your kids theater etiquette young. Like, if you're going to go to the theater, teach them. You have anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
My eyes are tired, my head hurts, and my dog is currently trying to bite both of us.
Yep. As we said, we might do a special episode coming out on Wednesday for the boys and a movie or two, depending. It all depends on time, because we both work and Carson's like, well, I guess you're done with school now, so that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But like we both have lives, so it is very difficult, especially for us being remote, to do this. But I'm sorry, the dog is licking my hand. It's very ticklish and very annoying. At the same time. But I think that we might do a special episode on Wednesday. If we don't do a special episode on Wednesday, next week will be Mando and the Boys season finale. If not, it'll just be Mando. So keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out for the special episode. Yeah.
While the dog is biting on my hand, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you heard, if you like what you saw, if you like seeing things like this, my dog gnawing on my hand, give us a like, give us a follow. Drop a comment in the comment section. Tell us how good we are. Tell us how bad we are. Any feedback's good. You can find us on all streaming platforms at Nerdy Nimrods. And when I mean all streaming platforms, I mean all streaming platforms. Apple Podcast, Amazon Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, you name it, we're on it. Brandon often posts short form content over on all social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, again, you name it, we're on it. Also under at Nerdy Nimrods. Post a lot of fun stuff over there. Head on over, see what fun takes place. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for stopping by. And as always, stay nerdy.